Hello everyone. Today we're going to be learning about classes and inheritance, what they are and how they work. Let's get right into it. Python is an object-oriented programming language. And thus, most things that you use in Python are also objects or classes. For example, strings. Strings are classes, so are arrays and arrays, integers, floats, and much more. When we make classes in Python, we are essentially creating those objects. We create them using, we say class, the name of the class, and in Python, typically you want to have a class name be capital. Then, optionally, what the class is inheriting from, but that's for later. Now, to this class, you can add methods, or which are basically functions. So, for example, I could make which are made with the same syntax as functions. And when we have functions in a class, typically you want to also add self as a parameter here, which will inherit all the properties and methods of that class. So now that I have this class, I want to use it. So maybe I can make a test, which is going to be a variable, and this variable is going to store an instance of this class. And it doesn't take any variables, so we can make this. And then now this test, this object, which you can see here is is of the class example. Now we can use all its methods. So we can do dot print example and we will get our result. Now classes also have a couple of special methods which, like the name, do special things. For example, and by the way, most of these start with two underscores, and end with two underscores. The most commonly used one, init, is called when the class is initiated. So when this class is created, this is going to be called. So maybe we want to have some variables. Maybe we want to add a number and a string. And then we can create variables for our class to be used throughout the class using self, dot, and then a variable name. So let's say number is equal to number. So what we're doing here is we're taking the self. So this is the entire class. It's number variable, which we are creating, and then we're setting it to this value. And then let's do the same for string. And now we can use these variables in this method. And we see now we have to have parameters. So we can provide 15 and we see our result. Now, like I hinted at earlier, in classes there is also this concept of inheritance. So let's have an example. Let's say we have a class person, and upon initializing, we have a first name, a last name, and an age, let's say. And then we create variables for each of these. And this initializes as so. And maybe it even has another method, greet. And it just prints a string. And let's use a for magic. Oops. And like before, we can create a person as so. Let's call him Bob equals person. And then we can supply all the arguments. Bob. Oops. Bob Smith, age 20. And then we can do bob.greet. And of course, we have our results as so. But what if we wanted to create a class, say, student? Well, a student is a person, right? And we would want a student to have all of these abilities. But a student should be able to do a bit more as well. So what we can do is we can inherit from the class person. Now what that does is that means that this class student will by default have all of these methods. However, let's say we wanted our student to also have a graduation year. So we would want to add something to the init function. However, if we just go ahead and try to do this, okay, and this just auto-completed because of, we would, if we tried to just do this, then it wouldn't really work because we just completely overrided this previous init function, and now none of these variables would be created. So what we should do is we should use the super, which is the parent class person, and then call its init function. What is happening? And then we can have all of our arguments here. Now, our parent class's init function was also created, so now we have all of these variables already created, and we can add and then let me just add this. And And now, if we instead create Bob as a student, we'll also have to supply in something here. We'll notice that Bob, and so we have our result. Even though we created this as a student class and we never actually made this method. However, now we notice that since Bob is now a student, we can print his graduation year. And we see that result as so. Thank you for watching this video, and remember to like and subscribe.